Have you ever watched an old cartoon and thought this feels familiar? The 1970s produced some fun shows, but it also produced a long line of copycats chasing formulas that already worked. Studios tried fast shortcuts, hoping lightning would strike twice, but the results were often strange, messy, and unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. And a few of these imitators ended up creating their own kind of retro charm. Number 15. The Funky Phantom, 1971. The Funky Phantom tried to chase the mystery-solving wave that dominated early 70s cartoons, but it struggled from the start. The premise had potential. Three teens accidentally free a friendly ghost from an old clock, and he joins them on road trips to solve mysteries. The ghost had a polite, old-fashioned style, and his presence could have given the show a unique twist. Instead, the series followed a familiar structure viewers already knew too well. Every episode featured a spooky setting, a suspicious character, a chase with upbeat music, and a reveal that wrapped things up neatly. Audiences who grew up with Scooby-Doo instantly recognized the pattern, making it difficult for the Funky Phantom to stand on its own. Even the voice acting drew comparisons to more popular shows of the time, which hurt the series further. Visually, the cartoon had charm, but it rarely pushed its ideas beyond the basics. The ghost character, who should have been the centerpiece, often repeated the same jokes instead of driving the plot in interesting ways. As a result, the show faded quickly. Today, it is remembered as a lighthearted attempt that never found a distinct identity in a decade filled with look-alike mystery cartoons. Number 14. Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, 1974. Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch brought viewers into a world where cars behaved like people, complete with expressions, emotions, and lively disputes. The show followed Wheelie, a cheerful red car, constantly outmaneuvering a mischievous motorcycle gang known as the Chopper Bunch. At first glance, the idea seemed energetic and playful. But once episodes aired, it became clear the show followed the same repetitive formula each week. Most episodes centered around the Chopper Bunch trying to embarrass or outsmart Wheelie, only to fail in dramatic but predictable fashion. The slapstick tone made it fun for younger viewers, but older audiences noticed the lack of depth. Wheelie communicated through beeps instead of spoken dialogue, which made the character visually cute but limited in personality development. While the animation was bright and colorful, critics pointed out that the writing relied too heavily on simple gags rather than meaningful stories or interesting character moments. Without stronger conflict or evolving plots, the show struggled to maintain long-term interest. By the time it ended, it had built a small fan base, but never gained enough traction to compete with more dynamic or creative cartoons. Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch remains a nostalgic memory for some, but it stands as a clear example of how flashy visuals cannot carry a show when the storytelling remains stuck in neutral. Number 13. Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, 1977. Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels combined prehistoric comedy with detective-style adventures, creating a vibrant but uneven mix. The setup followed three upbeat teen investigators and a wild, boulder-smashing caveman who burst into every mystery with loud enthusiasm. At first, the strange combination caught viewers' attention, but it soon became clear the show followed a strict pattern that limited its long-term appeal. Each episode began with the Teen Angels discovering a strange event. Soon after, Captain Caveman jumped in, using his unpredictable abilities and loud humor to solve problems almost instantly. While this made for lively moments, it also overshadowed the rest of the cast. The Teen Angels rarely got to shine, which made the show feel lopsided. The caveman himself, though entertaining, relied heavily on slapstick and catchphrases. Instead of evolving his character, episodes repeated the same types of jokes and last-minute rescues. This predictable rhythm made the show blend into the long list of 70s mystery cartoons. Fans today still enjoy the playful energy and retro style, but at the time, the familiar structure prevented it from rising above stronger competition. Captain Caveman remains fun to remember. Number 12. The Roman Holidays, 1972. The Roman Holidays aimed to recreate the success of the Flintstones by swapping prehistoric life for ancient Rome. The show centered on the Holiday family as they navigated everyday challenges involving work, neighbors, and family life. The twist was simply the setting, with Roman-style homes, chariots, and ancient-themed jokes replacing modern suburbs. Despite this creative change, the show struggled because it repeated a formula viewers already knew too well. The stories relied heavily on familiar sitcom patterns. The father faced workplace stress, the family juggled small mishaps, and misunderstandings shaped most conflicts. While these situations worked in earlier Hanna-Barbera hits, the Roman Holidays did not deliver its own identity. Characters felt warm, but lacked standout traits that could carry episodes or make the show memorable. The setting had potential for rich humor and world-building. However, most historical references stayed basic, missing opportunities to explore ancient culture in interesting or playful ways. With predictable plots and minimal surprises, the show struggled to capture audience interest. Although it had a charming look and a talented voice cast, the Roman Holidays faded quickly. It stands today as one of the purest examples of 70s copycat animation, offering comfort, but not enough originality to leave a lasting mark. Number 11. Speed Buggy, 1973. Speed Buggy brought viewers a cheerful talking dune buggy named Speedy, and a trio of teens who traveled from place to place solving small mysteries. The concept blended racing themes with light detective work, all wrapped in a colorful Saturday morning style. Speedy's energetic engine noise speech pattern made him the standout character, but the show's structure felt extremely familiar from the start. Each episode involved the group arriving at a new location, meeting unusual characters, and facing a mysterious problem. Chase scenes with upbeat music filled the middle of the episode, ending with a simple reveal. Viewers enjoyed the fast-paced action, but critics noted that the format nearly mirrored Scooby-Doo and other teen-centered adventure cartoons. Because of this, Speed Buggy struggled to stand out. Speedy himself added personality, but the human characters often blended together. They acted mostly as guides for the plot rather than strong individuals with memorable traits. This made the show feel unbalanced, especially when Speedy overshadowed the main cast. Despite its limitations, Speed Buggy earned a small but loyal fan base thanks to its lively animation and friendly tone. However, it never reached breakout popularity. Today, it is remembered as a pleasant but predictable entry in the long list of similar 70s cartoons. Number 10. Goober and the Ghost Chasers, 1973. Goober and the Ghost Chasers offered viewers a nervous dog who could turn invisible when scared, which should have been a fun twist in the mystery cartoon trend. The show followed 3 teen reporters and Goober as they traveled to investigate spooky happenings across the country. While the invisibility idea added charm, the overall structure followed a pattern audiences already knew well. Episodes typically introduced a creepy setting, a strange figure, and a mystery that unfolded in predictable ways. The highlight often came from Goober disappearing at the worst possible moment, leaving the teens scrambling for clues. Although entertaining, this gag repeated frequently, making the show feel less fresh over time. A unique element was the inclusion of animated pop culture guest stars, but these appearances often felt like attempts to boost excitement rather than enhance the story. Instead of building stronger characters, the show leaned on celebrity cameos and familiar story beats. While kids enjoyed the lively animation, older viewers noticed the similarities to other teen detective cartoons. As a result, the show failed to stand out in a crowded field. Today, Goober and the Ghost Chasers is remembered as a lighthearted but unmistakably derivative addition to 70s animation. Number 9. The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan, 1972. The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan mixed family adventure, mystery solving, and pop music into one fast-paced package. The show followed a detective father and his large group of children as they traveled the world cracking cases. While the concept sounded exciting, the execution suffered from overcrowded storytelling and familiar patterns. With so many siblings, the show struggled to give each character meaningful presence. Only a few stood out, leaving the rest blending into the background. This made it hard for audiences to connect with the cast. The band element added energy, but the music never became strong enough to carry the show. Mystery plots followed predictable rhythms. A problem appeared. Clues emerged. The kids worked together, and a neat resolution wrapped everything up. This structure echoed many earlier cartoons, making the show feel less original. Voice issues also affected early episodes, leading to mid-season redubbing. The sudden change made the show feel uneven. Despite its creative intention and enthusiastic style, The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan could not escape comparisons to better executed mystery shows. It remains a colorful experiment that offered spirit, but lacked the focus needed to succeed long-term. Number 8. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids, 1973. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids reimagined the famous name by turning Butch into the leader of a singing pop group who also acted as undercover agents. The idea mixed music, comedy, adventure, and mystery into one vibrant concept. While the energy was high, viewers were quick to notice it followed nearly the same formula as other teen adventure cartoons of the 70s. Episodes usually began with the band performing, followed by a sudden assignment from their secret organization. The group then traveled to a new location, uncovered a suspicious plot, and solved it with a combination of teamwork and upbeat charm. While the pacing was lively, the storylines rarely departed from predictable patterns. One notable detail was the inclusion of a loyal dog whose vocal style echoed well-known cartoon pets. This made it harder for the show to establish its own identity. The characters were likable, but felt too similar to existing cartoon archetypes. The musical aspect added fun moments, yet the songs never reached memorable status. Without standout tracks, the show struggled to compete with more iconic animated bands. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids remains a cheerful but clearly copycat entry in 70s animation history. Number 7. The Super Globetrotters, 1979. The Super Globetrotters tried to turn the real-life Harlem Globetrotters into a superhero team, giving each member a unique power and sending them on missions to stop unusual villains. The concept was bold and colorful, blending basketball flair with cartoon action. However, the show relied more on spectacle than storytelling, which limited its appeal. Each episode followed a familiar pattern. A quirky villain caused a problem. The Globetrotters transformed into their super forms, and team-based action wrapped up the conflict quickly. This formula offered fun movement and energy, but little depth. Without strong narrative arcs, the show struggled to engage viewers beyond surface entertainment. The powers, while imaginative, often overshadowed character development. Instead of exploring personal traits or meaningful challenges, episodes focused on quick resolutions. Many critics pointed out that other hero-based cartoons of the time offered richer worlds and stronger emotional stakes. Even the basketball theme, which could have given the show a unique identity, played a small role in most plots. Despite its creative ambition, the Super Globetrotters ended up feeling more like a novelty series than a full-fledged cartoon. It remains a lively footnote in animation rather than a lasting classic. Number 6. Jabberjaw, 1976. Jabberjaw introduced viewers to a rock band in an underwater future, led by a large comedic shark with loud energy and memorable catchphrases. The futuristic ocean world offered creative visuals, but the show closely followed the mystery-adventure format already popular in earlier Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Episodes usually featured the group arriving at a new aquatic location, encountering a strange figure or unusual event, and solving the problem through a blend of music, teamwork, and comedic chaos. While this kept the pace lively, it also highlighted how similar it was to Scooby-Doo and Josie and the Pussycats. Jabberjaw himself carried much of the humor, but sometimes dominated scenes so much that other characters were left underdeveloped. This imbalance made the group feel less dynamic overall. The underwater setting added freshness, but was rarely used to explore new story ideas in meaningful ways. Although it gained nostalgic charm over the years, Jabberjaw never reached the standout status its creators hoped for. It offered fun energy and creative world-building, but the familiar structure kept it firmly in copycat territory. Number 5. Inch High, Private Eye, 1973. Inch High, Private Eye followed a miniature detective who used his tiny size to slip into places normal investigators couldn't reach. The concept was original and fun, offering countless opportunities for creative storytelling. But despite this promising setup, the show often relied on familiar patterns that held it back. Each episode involved the detective agency taking on a strange case, with Inch High using his ability to sneak into tight spaces or hide in unexpected spots. While these moments were amusing, the overall structure echoed many other 70s mystery cartoons. A problem arose, clues appeared, and a neat solution closed the case. Viewers wanted more surprises from a character with such a unique skill. The supporting cast added charm, especially the loyal dog Braveheart, but they often served as simple companions rather than full personalities. Because the writing repeated similar beats, the show never built the momentum needed to stand out. In the end, Inch High, Private Eye felt like a great idea wrapped in familiar execution. It remains a cute, clever footnote in Hanna-Barbera history, remembered more for its concept than its impact. Number 4. The Boogaloo, 1970. The Boogaloo blended music, fantasy, and adventure, following a group of insect-themed teens who lived in a magical forest and faced playful obstacles each episode. With bright costumes, upbeat songs, and an imaginative setting, the show had plenty of creative potential. But despite all this, it struggled to leave a strong impression. The storylines were simple and often repetitive. A jealous antagonist created trouble, the group escaped through quick thinking and teamwork, and a musical number wrapped things up. While this formula made the show easy to follow, it lacked depth. Characters were friendly and positive, yet rarely experienced meaningful growth or challenges. The musical element helped give the show personality, but the songs never became widely memorable. Without standout tracks, the show could not compete with stronger music-based cartoons. The Boogaloo remains a colorful memory of early 70s television, best remembered for its charm rather than its success. It stands as an example of a show that relied heavily on style but struggled to find lasting substance. Number 3. The Shake, Rattle, and Roll Show, 1977. The Shake, Rattle, and Roll Show attempted to ride the wave of animated music groups by introducing 3 enthusiastic characters who performed songs and solved lighthearted problems. The concept aimed to blend comedy, music, and adventure, but it quickly ran into the issue of arriving late to an already crowded trend. Episodes featured simple conflicts, cheerful resolutions, and musical performances meant to showcase the group's personality. However, the characters lacked the distinct traits needed to make them unforgettable. Their personalities blended rather than contrasted, which weakened the show's ability to create strong emotional moments. The music, intended to be the show's highlight, was pleasant but not groundbreaking. Without memorable songs, the series struggled to compete with more dynamic or catchy cartoon bands from earlier in the decade. While the energy was friendly and upbeat, the Shake, Rattle, and Roll Show never developed the unique identity needed to succeed. It remains a reminder that even lively concepts need strong characters and standout music to make an impact. Number 2. Devlin, 1974. Devlin centered on a young stunt rider traveling with his siblings as part of a touring show. The premise offered a mix of drama, teamwork, and inspiration, but the execution leaned too gentle to deliver the excitement viewers expected. Instead of intense challenges or bold storylines, episodes often focused on small personal issues and simple lessons. The show's calm tone made it family-friendly, but it also limited the sense of adventure. Devlin faced minor setbacks involving practice routines or show preparations, and resolutions arrived quickly. This prevented stories from building real tension or growth. The characters were warm but subdued, making the series feel more like a soft educational program than a thrilling stunt-centered cartoon. Without strong humor or fast-paced action, Devlin struggled to maintain interest. Although the idea had heart, the show's reluctance to push boundaries left it overshadowed by more energetic cartoons of the time. Devlin remains an interesting concept that never fully embraced the excitement its theme deserved. Number 1. The Roman Holidays, 1972. The Roman Holidays tops the list because it represents 70s cartoon copycat culture perfectly. Designed as a Roman-inspired version of the Flintstones, the show followed the Holiday family through everyday challenges in an ancient world filled with chariots, emperors, and neighbors who felt very familiar. Despite the creative setting, the stories leaned heavily on familiar sitcom patterns. Workplace troubles, small misunderstandings, and safe humor dominated the episodes. While charming, the characters lacked the bold traits that made earlier Hanna-Barbera families iconic. The ancient Roman backdrop had huge comedic potential, but the writing rarely used it effectively. Most jokes stayed surface level, missing opportunities to explore clever historical twists. Because it felt too similar to earlier hits, the Roman Holidays struggled to attract long-term viewers. Today, it stands as a crystal-clear example of a show that followed a winning formula without adding enough originality to succeed. And that wraps up 15 cartoons that tried to copy the greats but never quite reached the finish line. Some were fun, some were wild, and some were so familiar it felt like déjà vu. If any of these brought back memories, share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and pass this video to someone who loves retro animation. After all, every copycat from the 70s still leaves a story worth remembering.